All right, so we are here at the Fantasy Dome. I'm sure that last Saturday by this time, this place was well prepared for the launch of the Rain album by Shatta Reign. And we're going to be speaking to Sadiq.
Fantasy Dome was a partner to the event itself. So
okay, so if you say you're a partner, it doesn't mean that you didn't take money from
it
the
was
organizers.
it was a partnership, with events.
So partnership,
we're all part of the
50-50,
organizers.
no,
I mean, they are
get proceeds,
no, they have, they are confidentiality to these things. This kind of contract.
No,
so
I didn't ask how much. I just want to know whether
It will be hard to really put out any specific detail.
Entails.
But what I can say is that we're collectively, as we're part of the organizers that to put this together.
And we hear that some people say 19,000, some people say 20,000, some people say over 20,000. But what's the capacity of the Fantasy Dome?
The Fantasy Dome, like I indicated to you, for a seating capacity, it's 18,000. For standing for events, it's 20,000.
20,000. How many people did you have on Saturday in here?
Within the trade fair enclave itself, the trade fair enclave is bigger than the Fantasy Dome. Within the trade fair enclave, we can project that we got nearly 30,000 people.
30,000.
Yeah, within the trade fair enclave, because it was a very big
event.
But
in here, can you tell how many people you had in here?
Collectively, at different points, we had about nearly 18 to 19,000 people.
18 to 19,000.
Yeah, which is within the numbers that's accepted to be here.
Now we hear about. I'm trying to look at it. So how many?
So let's count the huge ACs that's in the building.
Yeah, so
that's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another behind the 4.
Okay,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are 12 huge ACs. And the capacity is big.
Yeah, and still we hear so much heat, so much heat. And you didn't overflow the place. You took the capacity that you could contain. What could have been the problem?
Okay, so one of the things, again, we realized, so after every event, we do our post-mortem. We try to identify some of the key things and stuff like that. One of the things we realized, we'll take a close shot of the AC, for instance. It has a place where you could press things. So ideally, ideally should be covered. Okay. But given the numbers and everything, one of the things we realized is that people kept on touching and trying to control it to turn maybe the ACs themselves. And so in so doing, a lot of the things that they tampered with, they tried to touch. I mean, because they couldn't control it. These are specialized ACs that's controlled by the technical team here. So if you don't know about it and you touch it, definitely you may either act off it or not. So what we realized was that the ones that they touched, it kind of went off. However, when you come backstage, because of backstage, we had a number of our people there, we could control it. The backstage area was so cold.
Wow.
Was so cold. And also, of course, given the numbers, you may experience some of these things.
And again,
because certain places where you would realize that certain places that was closer to the stage were dense, So a lot of the people that were in the spaces that we created just for emergency or anything like that for grouping. In emergency, you need to create an area where people could group, for emergency and stuff like that. We called it cold areas, but places that had a very top crowd, like the dense crowd, you could experience some of the heat. But I mean, these are some of the feedback we got from our postmortem.
Now, also we realized that. Well, let me ask: Did they destroy any of your ACs? Did anything go bad?
No, not
had any
except where they tried to touch it and off some of the things. I mean, the ACs are in good shape.
But I see chairs that have gone bad.
Yes.
After the concert, you experience it after every event, or this is a peculiar situation?
Well, this is the first time. Fantasy Dome has been operational since March this year, but this is the first time we're having to experience this big number here. Most importantly, this is the first time we're having to experience issues with such as this.
And I see that you use these barricades all the time, and some of the barricades have gone bad. Like this one is broken and all that.
So we use it's part of the human control, what we call site management plan. We use barricades so you can be able to control and direct people in the ways that you want them to be. Because we are anticipating huge numbers, we use these kind of the long 5 feet barricades. You know, and also don't forget that this is a different event. Unlike the usual events we have where people are seated, majority of the people that were supposed to come in here were supposed to be standing.
Oh.
And also because of the large numbers, you needed the longer barricades to be able to properly control them so as not to create a stampede. Like I said to you, in-house at Fantasy Dome, there's a whole health and safety protocols that we need to adhere to. You know, so in adhering to it, this is some of the things that we need to create.
These damages, are the organizers going to pay for, or it becomes, you know, a loss to Fantasy Dome and you have to pick it up?
Well, the entire Fantasy Dome, like I said, as part of the health and safety and emergency is insured. And so some of these damages and everything will be handled. It's unfortunate.
So insurance will take care of this?
Well, likely. We're still doing the post-mortem process part of it. But most importantly, I stated in another interview that we need to use this as an opportunity to educate event patrons that when you come to events for places such as this, it's very, very expensive to put together things like this. Don't tamper or don't destroy some of these things. But again, it's anticipated that some of these things could happen. That's why insurance and everything is done to cover the entire place.
And now also I see that there's fields. I'm sure it's with every event that after the events, you know, you have
definitely when you have people come in. This is water bottles. So I mean, of course, because I mean it's an event that runs through into the night. A lot of people drink during concerts and stuff like that. So I think it's usual that after every concert they'll leave some of these bottles. But there's, as you can see, there's a team that stay every day after every event to clean out the place, get it ready. We do all the post-mortem and get it ready for subsequent events. It's unfortunate, but because all these things are anticipated, and that's why the entire venue and things in the venue is insured, so that, I mean, things like this, as and when it happens, could be catered for by...
restricted when it comes to smoking, because
yes.
That's another thing. So how did you handle that on
Okay,
Saturday?
so what we did was that we had a combination, for security, we had a combination of the police, we had a number of police people, we had a number of military people, we had a number of our security people. In fact, for police, we applied for about 130 people. Of course, we couldn't get the 130 people, but we got a majority of them.
So how many did you have?
Offhead, we got nearly 70, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got a military team, and we got our private security, which are about 60. And so what we did was, and that's one of the things why I created a long line, because the security was checking. So when people were coming in, we were actually doing a body search, a body scan of lighters and other things. I mean, we had like a list of things that you can bring in. Of course, you can bring in a knife here. You can bring in other metal devices that could be used to hurt people. So we did that at all the entrances. So we did a long line. So initially what we do is that from the outside, there are barricades we put from the outside to here, where we begin to control and check the people and get them organized before they come in here. When they come in here too, they have to cross the main gate into the inner perimeter, which is another checkpoint. After you cross the checkpoint as well. So there are 2 checkpoints before you get to the main entrance into the dome. So these are the things that we did to try to ensure that, I mean, you won't get people...
But we still had reports of people smoking in. How did that happen? People coming in with smoke. We had reports of people saying, you know, I've seen people's reports about, you know, how much smoke they had to inhale here. How did that happen? Well, did it be somebody who had smuggled it in and was selling
in terms of the post-mortem that we did, the feedback we got, like I indicated to you, included, of course, the heat because of, and which I explained to you, and then crowding at certain points, particularly closer to the stage, I mean, which we picked up, and also the fact that because they got crowded at particularly around the stages, some of them were able to make their way into the VIP. These are some of the feedback that we picked. In terms of security, we're yet to pick, I mean, feedback regarding the fact that there was smoke, people were smoking actually within the dome. I mean, these are not some of the feedback that we pick, you know. So, and I indicated to you, these are some of the protocols.
That to say that those could have been exaggerations, that people were not telling the truth? Because I monitored, I've seen people. I can actually go, especially Kwame does this page on Facebook. I've seen, you know, things like that being, you know, put out there.
Well,
you know, so could it also be that people are exaggerating?
Well, it needs to be,
because of the Shatta Wale concerts.
No, it's possible that these are legitimate concerns. These are concerns that people actually saw, but I indicated to you, it requires a bit of investigations as we do often in terms of our post-mortem to be able to identify that, oh, indeed, this actually took place, and then try to find out how did it happen, most importantly, and then find a way to, like we do. The more reason why we do post-mortems is try to look at what went right, and most importantly, what went wrong, what needs to be fixed towards the subsequent events.
Would you say that you're to be blamed for Shatta not allowing, or Samini and Stoneboy not getting on stage to perform? Because one of the reasons we've had, they said, was security. If we had that big security or huge security presence, why would Bulldog say that for security reasons he thought that some fans will harm these folks when they come on stage if he had huge security presence?
Well, I mean, that's Bulldog's commentary. We don't know his basis.
Well, he gave the reason. He says because he thought that the fans were not
security,
happy.
when somebody says security is quite vague. I think that perhaps when you engage Bulldog the more, he'll be in a position to explain what kind of security is he talking about. Was he talking about?
Well, he says a fan can harm. Fans were not happy by certain utterances that.
Was he referring to threats, for instance,
yes,
that he
the
picked
threats
up?
That
yeah. So like I indicated to you, when you say security is quite huge. As far as we are concerned, I mean the security here is usually taken care of. Like I indicated to you, it's a combination of police, military, and private security.
Couldn't they have averted the situation if anything untoward?
I'm sure that if that discussion was fully had regarding that, I mean, this is what was going to happen and these are signals they've picked and all of that, I'm sure would have done that. But in terms of the planning and all, the entire conversation was centered on Shatta. For myself, personally, what I know of is that, in fact, the role that we played in terms of having them to come in, which underscores our belief in our security systems, with the fact that I got a call personally from City, for instance, that they are gonna come in, and then we indicated to them. I told him that yes,
you told whom?
City, and then of course, City has been on the show, had been on other shows, and I've confirmed that he spoke to me, and then I got him to come in, and then when they were even coming in here, we used our special VIP security. That's how they came in. They had police and security, what's it called, military escort, and then they come in here. But then again, when they got backstage, of course, with Bulldog, I'm sure that he was in a position to have identified that, hey, let's check in. Because when I spoke to Bulldog, for instance, as the guys were here, he told me that, I mean, the security, from the things they've picked up, the security on the ground wasn't really right, but he was going to see what they would do.
But that's your security. It means that you didn't give them adequate security.
But don't forget, I mean, it's not, I'm sure that if we perhaps didn't give them enough security or good security, they couldn't have come in here.